Hello everyone, and thanks for joining in. You're watching Politics Today. Well, today our focus on the program will be on the rerun elections in Rivers State and the Federal Capital Territory Council area. The Independent National Electoral Commission will deploy about almost 40,000 of its staff for the Rivers and FCT rerun elections, and the date slated for those elections is March the 19th. Also, we'll be taking a look at the Kogi Assembly impasse as it continues. The lawmakers are still divided over the legality of the impeachment of the embattled Speaker Jimoh Lawal. That's our focus tonight on the program. But first up, let's take a look at some political stories that have made the rounds through the week. Well, welcome back. You're watching Politics Today. I'm Imana Amawe. Well, it's been an intriguing time all week long, and we begin with the controversy of the 2016 budget. Well, after all said and done, it seems as if the fiscal document will scale through come March the 17th. The chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, Honorable Abdul Mumin Jibrin, says the lawmakers had put in much effort to ensure that the budget would be ready before the new date. Honorable Jibrin gave the proposed period at a budget defense session in the National Assembly, also giving an update on the budget before the Senate. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, Senator Mohammed Goje, told reporters that the National Assembly would still meet with the executive to finalize the process before the budget is passed. And for weeks now, the National Assembly has been meeting with ministries, departments and agencies working on the 2016 budget estimates. Issues relating to padding of the budget, insertion of wrong figures that has stirred up a lot of controversy in the polities, and as well as inflation has rocked the entire process. And only last year, the president presented budget to the joint session of the National Assembly. The estimate of that document was 6.08 trillion naira with an oil benchmark of $38 per barrel, and oil production projection of 2.2 million barrels per day. In January, just when the lawmakers began deliberating on the document, some senators raised an alarm over the missing budget. And a few days after the amended version of the document was presented to the National Assembly, but that too has been riddled with loads of errors as discovered by the lawmakers. Even some ministers at the budget defense had to deny some of the portions of the document belonging to their ministries. The president ordered a shake-up of the budget department. He also promised to deal with anyone found culpable of trying to sabotage the fiscal document. And the People's Democratic Party will go into another round of meetings beginning from this weekend. Oh, that's also been it's also been the front burner in the political scene this week. Well, the party says the National Caucus meeting has been rescheduled for Sunday, March the 6th, 2016 by 7 p.m., while members of the Board of Trustees will now hold their meetings on Monday, March the 7th, 2016 at 11 o'clock in the morning. The National Executive Committee will hold its own sessions at 2 p.m. on the same day, that's March the 7th, 2016. It's expected that date for the party's conventions will be determined at the meetings. Hopefully, the convention may produce a new set of leadership for the party. Well, those are some of the major stories that have been on the front line of politics through the week. Well, now to some of our major stories for the day. First, the timetable of the Independent National Electoral Commission for rerun elections in the Federal Capital Territory Area Council and Rivers State. The electorate are expected to come out in their millions on March the 19th to cast votes and fill in seats for 3 senatorial constituencies, 12 federal constituencies and 22 State House of Assembly seats in Rivers State, while the Federal Capital Territory has polls for 6 council areas on that day. And following the sacking of some members who had previously held dispositions by the appeal court, the electoral umpire had to reschedule both elections for that particular date. That's March the 19th. INEC is to deploy a total of 36,335 permanent and ad hoc staff for the conduct of the area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory and the rerun elections. Many definitely believe that's a huge number. Well, in a bulletin released by INEC, it shows that over 9,000, almost 10,000 of its staff will conduct the elections in the Federal Capital Territory, while 26 ad hoc staff will hold rerun elections in Rivers State. The staff are made up of assistant presiding officers, supervising presiding officers, collation officers, and returning officers. The bulletin says that the FCT Council has a total number of 1.202 million registered voters in the 6 council areas, and they'll be manned by 6 assistant presiding officers, 62 collation officers, as well as 62 supervising presiding officers, with 428 people in reserve in case of any eventuality. Well, it further states that the Rivers State Court ordered rerun elections in 3 senatorial constituencies and the 12 constituencies for the Federal House of Representative seats, as well as the 22 seats in the State House of Assembly, and there are a total of over 200,000 voters. Well, that's a breakdown of how the voting will pan out on that day come March the 19th in the Federal Capital Territory. Well, let's take a more cursory look at the issues. How prepared is INEC? Will the new system of simultaneous election system work? And what arrangements are on ground for a smooth outcome on D-Day? Remember, you can join the conversation on Twitter. It's at CTV Politics, and the hashtag to use is #PoliticsToday. Well, let's get more insight on the program now. Joining me now is the Director of Voter Education for INEC. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Osaze Uzi, for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much. It seems having adopted the simultaneous accreditation and voting in the Southern Ijaw elections, INEC wants to take it as wants to adopt that procedure for other elections in Nigeria. What do you make of this?
What am I to make of it? I think it's something that stakeholders and Nigerians and the voters have clamored for quite a while. Recall that when we go back into electoral history, we used to do that. But there was a mischief occasioned by it because a lot of people used to go, or some people used to go from one area to another to do multiple voting. But since we have taken care of that in terms of the permanent voters card and cleaned up our register, that is no longer feasible. So we said, look, it's about time. It's right for us to now look at things and see how we can rejig the whole system and make it better. And it worked very well in Southern Ijaw when we did the rerun supplementary election there. And thereafter, we'll decide to take it on from there and see what we can do with it. And don't forget, we've already conducted elections in several states, court-ordered rerun elections, 3 different Saturdays. And it has worked very well. So we just continued to pilot it and said, look, this is good. It's about time we'll continue with it for the FCT elections and for the Rivers State rerun elections.
All right, Mr. Osaze Uzi, could you tell us 36,335 members of staff of the electoral umpire? That's a huge number. Why that huge deployment of staff?
Well, because we must meet minimum requirements. It's not a particularly huge number. It's the same number of people we use for the general election. We have a minimum number of people who will man up each polling unit. We have supervisors, we have monitors at every time. We have collation officers. And so we need this, what you call a large number, but we don't think it's a particularly large number. Don't forget that we had over 600,000 people deployed for the 2015 general elections. So it's not a particularly large number. It's determined by the number of polling units we have, the number of registration areas. That is what determines how we deploy our personnel.
Okay, what about the issue of logistics and security? What arrangements does INEC have in place?
Well, the issue of logistics, we've developed a template which has worked very well in the recent elections and which we will continue to use. That is using area camps. Recall that we used to have issues of late arrival of personnel, late arrival of material, but that in most of the elections we've conducted recently have not really been an identified challenge from the observer reports and from the media reports. So that is that about logistics. So we will intend using the camps, and materials will be distributed a couple of days to the election. Non-sensitive materials are already in the state. Sensitive materials will be taken from the central bank vaults to the state and to the constituency levels in the presence of media, accredited media personnel, and also accredited observers and party agents who are equally accredited. So that is what we're doing. But for security, we're working in collaboration with the police and other security agencies to secure the process. We will not proceed to conduct election anywhere where there's a threat or a breakdown of law and order, where there's a threat to the voters, a threat to observers, a threat to our personnel. We will not do that as we observed in Imo State a couple of Saturdays ago. So basically, it's only in areas where we are sure, where we have gotten security clearance and the adequate security deployment, working in collaboration with all security agencies under our joint interagency consultative committee. We'll go ahead, and they've assured us that things they're ready. So we'll go ahead with it.
Let me just ask you, Rivers State is known to be one of the most volatile states in the history of elections in Nigeria, and it has the highest number of rerun elections come March 1922. Out of the 23 council areas will be holding elections on that day. How prepared is INEC in case there are any breakouts of violence?
Well, you see, there's a challenge there. You seem to put the burden on INEC to take charge of electoral security. The primary responsibility of security in the country is not that of the electoral management body. Ours is a regulatory and management body dealing with the management of the process. But security is an essential part of the process, so we work in conjunction with the security agencies. We are not a security outfit. We don't have any expertise in terms of security, so we have to depend on those state actors, state agencies that have been given the statutory and constitutional responsibility to take care of security. We are working in close collaboration with them as we're enjoined to do. But our staff don't carry guns. We don't carry guns. We don't do intelligence reports. But we do use the tool, this electoral risk management tool, which is an early warning system, which tells us of high levels of it. We pass whatever information. We have an INEC Citizens Contact Center as well, where if there are reports of malpractice, there are reports of violence, or all those things that are likely to cause violence and breach of security, we pass such information onto the security agencies led by the police. And in the worst case scenario, we may have to call on the armed forces, who don't really are not part of election security as a first line thing, but they protect and the outer perimeters. So basically, we're working in conjunction with security agencies to secure the process.
All right, Mr. Osazizi, finally, in line with what you said, you're saying that so far, how has the response of the security agencies been? If INEC, so long as INEC is working in conjunction with these security agencies, what's the outlook? What do you think the outlook is going to be with the information INEC is armed with about the volatility of Rivers State?
Well, the outlook and prognosis is quite good. As I said, we really have to work in close conjunction with those agencies. You are aware that we do have an interagency advisory committee on election security, where all the major agencies involved in security are members of that committee. And we do periodic reviews of the security situation. They've been meeting regularly, both at national level and now at the state level. They've been having regular meetings and consultations. There's been a lot of intelligence gathering, and they've promised to neutralize any threat to security. But if we don't expect it, if for any unexplained reason there's a break in any particular area, we'll sequester that area, and we'll probably have to stop the elections or stop the process if there's an outbreak or imminent threat, clear and present danger of a security breakdown. Then we'll probably have to suspend the election in that particular area or that particular unit. But we don't expect that. There may be isolated cases, but I think the security agencies can deal with those.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Oluwole.